Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K collector. Happy Labor Day to you. And I'm noticing something as I'm watching all of these GameStop retro videos, because I like to watch what's going on at different GameStops across the country, because I know everyone's going to have a different experience at these retro stores. And as I watch these videos, what I thought about this new retro thing is actually proving itself to be true, which is GameStop is having a serious inventory issue. Because when a lot of collectors like myself, we go to a GameStop, we're hoping to be able to find retro games that go further back than 7th generation. We already know that GameStop, whether it's designated as a retro store or not, is going to have plenty of 360 games and plenty of PlayStation 3 games. Now, are they going to have, you know, all the PlayStation 3 and 360 games that we want? Probably not. But we know they're going to be stacked up with Angry Birds. We know they're going to have a ton of Assassin's Creed. They're going to have a ton of Call of Duty. They're going to have a ton of that stuff. So I don't think most retro collectors are impressed with PlayStation 3 and 360 games. Now, I actually pulled these games out of storage because over the next couple weeks, I'm going to be doing some PlayStation 3 gaming as well as some Xbox 360 gaming with a little bit of Super Nintendo gaming. I am playing Mega Man X2. I beat Mega Man X1 a long time ago. I feel like I beat Mega Man X2. I can't remember. I know I beat 4, 5, and 6 on the PlayStation 1. But I decided to dive back into into Mega Man X2. Now, this Mega Man X2 cart that you're seeing here is the Mega Man X2 cart that I actually got from GameStop. It is authentic, and it's one of the only like valuable Super Nintendo games that I've ever gotten from GameStop that actually was real and authentic. Every other game that I tried to get from there was fake. I got a fake copy of Final Fight 2 from there. No, I got a fake copy of Final Fight 3 from them. I also got a fake copy of Kirby Dream Land 3 from them. So it's really a long shot, right? And I think this is the problem that GameStop is going to have. And I said it, they're going to have an inventory issue because they're not going to be able to bring in enough retro games to be able to sell them to customers looking for retro. And the reason why they're going to have a hard time sourcing this stuff is for a couple of reasons. One, most people who have valuable retro games that wanted to sell them, they probably sold them during like the peak of the retro gaming madness, right? They probably sold their collections between 2020 and 2022, 2023. And a lot of people who have retro games now probably paid a significant amount for them. When you look at what GameStop is paying for some of these games, because they do have like a buy list. If you go to their website, you can punch in a video game, and not only will it show you what they're selling the game for, but if you scroll down a little bit, it'll show you what the trade-in value is and what the cash value is. GameStop is not paying near enough of what people expect to get for these games. I mean, and they're going to have a hard time competing with folks like Phoenix Resale, Chase After the Right Price, guys who are willing to pay you 50, in some cases 60% of the value of your games, and even buy these games in bulk. So why would you take your game to a GameStop when you could go to either your local retro game store and sell your games there, or just sell your games to someone like a Phoenix Resale, or just sell them yourself online? So GameStop isn't offering enough of a compelling buyback program, right? What they're offering you for these games just doesn't make sense for most people to sell them. Now, you are going to have that group of people who just are, I don't want to say lazy, but they're just looking for a quick way to get out of games, and they don't really care that much about how much they're getting for the game, so they'll just sell them to GameStop anyway. But even if, let's say, 5% of the market or 10% of the market did that, that's still not enough inventory for GameStop to make their offerings compelling for a collector. No one cares about really walking into GameStop, and I'm talking about from the standpoint of a retro collector. No one cares about walking into GameStop and seeing a bunch of 360 and PlayStation 3 games. No one's really impressed by that, because 7th generation isn't that far back. Now, if we walk into a GameStop and we see a wall of PS2 games or wall of Sega Genesis games or wall of Dreamcast games, that's going to be compelling to someone who's a retro collector, and that's what's going to keep them coming back for more. And from what I'm seeing right now, the general sentiment is that most GameStops just don't have a compelling, they don't have compelling inventory. They don't really have anything there that makes people want to stay there. And if you're lucky enough to find a retro game or something like a Super Nintendo game, 9 times out of 10, you're going to find it online. And then you have to cross your fingers and pray that when it gets to you, it's real and it's not torn to shreds. And unless GameStop has some plan in the background, unless they're working on their logistics to be able to roll out more retro games, I see this being a big fail. Now, I did not realize that they attempted this a while ago. I've seen a few videos where folks are saying that they attempted to do this, back in the day, and that it was a fail. And you just got to think, if GameStop tried retro before and it failed, when it was probably easier, when the retro market was less inflated and when there was less awareness, if they couldn't do it then, I don't know what makes them think that they're going to be able to do it now. And if in their mind, they're thinking that Xbox 360, Wii, and PS3 is the retro that retro collectors are looking for, I think they're sadly mistaken. Hopefully GameStop realizes that when people are looking for retro, they're looking for Super Nintendo, PlayStation 2, N64, Dreamcast. They're looking for 6th gen and older, not 7th gen and 8th gen games, 3DS games. That's, yes, 3DS and DS, collectors will take that, right? Because we're fans of the DS and 3DS. But we're not impressed by 360 and PS3 games. We're not impressed by Wii games, and we're definitely not impressed by Wii U games. So hopefully GameStop figures out this inventory issue that they have, because if they don't, then I think they're just going to fall flat on their face. And what this is going to wind up looking like, it's going to look like a weak attempt to clear out their 7th gen inventory. And that's what it's starting to look like, because really this new announcement about the retro rollout doesn't really feel different from anything that they've been doing already for the last year to year and a half, because it's not like they just started offering retro games. GameStop has been offering retro games for the past few years. It's just they never made a big, bold announcement about it. Now, when you go to Twitter and you make an announcement about it and say you're doing retro officially, in my opinion, you would have to do something different from what you've been doing over the past year to 2 years. And to me, their offerings are the same as they were a couple years ago. And I'm not hating on GameStop, because I've gotten some really quality retro games from GameStop. You know what I mean? So, and if you follow the channel, you'll know I've gotten some grails, some heavy hitters, some bangers from GameStop, including Mega Man X2, right? So I'm not hating on them. I'm just saying they're going to have to figure out this inventory problem, because now you're telling people that you're doing this and you're really not giving them much more than what you've been giving them for the past 2 to 3 years. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Again, this is just some feedback that I'm giving based on what I'm seeing. And I'm seeing this feedback from people who are on the East Coast, West Coast, who live in the Midwest, who live in the South. And I'm a coastal guy. I've lived on the East Coast as well as the West Coast. And from what I've seen, just on YouTube and what I'm seeing myself, it seems like there are more options for you when you do live in a big city. Like if you live in a New York, if you live in a Southern California, like in LA, San Diego, anywhere in the LA, SoCal area, if you're like in New York, New Jersey, like Connecticut, if you're in the tri-state area, if you're like in a heavily populated big city, I think there are going to be more options for you. It's just what I've seen. I tend to see a lot of things at my GameStop. I know there's a bigger YouTuber who I think is from Texas, and he just put out a video where they had a ton of Super Nintendo cartridges down in Texas. So maybe they've got inventory there. But I think it varies from state to state and from location to location. So, again, GameStop, you got to figure out your inventory issue. If you're going to start selling retro games, you have to start thinking past Generation 7. You got to start thinking Gen 6 and older, and you got to start figuring out how you're going to acquire these games to sell them back. Offering people 15% of the value of the game isn't going to cut it. GameStop has to be willing to start coughing up more cheese to buy some of these retro games. Trying to offer people 20, 25% of the value of the game just isn't going to work because the competition is doing so much better than that. When I sold a lot of my retro games at the start of the year, I was working with mom and pop shops that were offering me 70, in some cases 75% of the value of the game. Of course I'm going to sell to them. Why would I ever sell to GameStop if they're going to offer me a fraction of that? It just doesn't make sense. But again, let me know what you think down in the comments. Happy Labor Day, folks. I do not feel the urge to go game hunting today. I don't know why. I feel like I'd rather just stay home and play some games. So that's probably what I'm going to do. There is one store that I'm going to hit up today, and I'm going to try to make a trade for a Super Nintendo game that I've been trying to get my hands on for a while. It is expensive. So I'm going to try to see if they're willing to take these 25. I've got 20 to 25 games I'm going to try to trade in to get this one Super Nintendo game. Hopefully it's still at that store and it hasn't sold. If I am successful, I'll let you know. I'll try to get it on video. But that does it for me for now. It's the Y2K Collector. Happy Labor Day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take it easy.